First of all, I pay my respect, obeisance to all my gurus. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Deva Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Sri Guruvaya Namah. Today I welcome all of you to this Maya Satsang group. This group is basically constituted to discuss yoga, philosophy, spiritualism, religion, and cultural heritage of India. My Satsang group has started its first discussion on the auspicious day. Today is Guru Purnima, as you all know. Sorry, sir. As you all know, today is Guru Purnima. Guru Purnima is celebrated on the full moon day, known as Purnima as per the Hindu calendar of Asad month. One pays obeisance to the Guru or teacher on this day, asking him, thanking him for all the knowledge and life lessons they taught us. Today I welcome our Guru Dr. T.P. Sasikumar, who has kindly agreed to speak on the topic Guru Master Acharya. Dr. T.P. Sasikumar is a faith scientist, educationist, spiritual director, motivational speaker, author of Life of Love, Rhythm of Life, Life Made Simple. Dr. T.P. Sasikumar is a Deputy Director, Director General of Security, Cabinet Secretariat, Government of India, New Delhi. He is the Director, UGC Academy Staff College, Calicut University, Kerala. He is a scientist, Advanced Data Processing Research Institute, Hyderabad. He is associated with Program Planning and Project Management, ISRO, HQ, Bangalore. Space Application Center, ISRO, Ahmedabad, Professor and Head Business Administration, AEC, JNTUH, Hyderabad. I welcome you, sir, to this program. Over to Dr. T.P. Sasikumar.
As always, Jayanti Sahu is in detail and I don't want to interrupt in between. That is why I kept silent. Today is a great day for whole world. This is soon after the longest day in the calendar, 365 days. 2 times we get the longest day. One is June 21st and the another one December 22nd. This is astronomically very auspicious. Astronomically. Therefore, astrologically also, because astrology is based on astronomy. So this year it happens to be 2020 July 5th. And the Purna Chandran is the moon, Chandma, which is full moon with white today. Full moon with the dark is Shivaratri. So actually Shivaratri and Guru Purnima are 2 main days where the astronomical changes happens in everybody. This day, yesterday when Prime Minister was addressing, he was also mentioning as Dharma Chakra Day. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, 14th October 1956, when Dharma Chakra Parivartan Day, when he took Buddhism, probably considering Buddha is the best guru. Actually, this day is good for both Buddhist, Jainist and every fraction of Hindu philosophical people, because it's a spiritual day celebrating by the heritage people or the spiritual heritage which India has. Light of knowledge flowing or overflowing internally and externally, discharging one's own duty selflessly, lovingly, skillfully, engaging ourselves to attain the purpose of life. That is what all our spiritual speakers taught us. That some people must have misunderstood and then asked to close the eye to have a vision. But it is opening your eyes and seeing around, looking inside yourself to digest what your indriyas capture for understanding and learning. Probably that is how our gurus like Adi Shankaracharya, Vyasa, or maybe Ramanuja, Madhavacharya, Buddha, or probably Vasishta in the Rama's time, Yoga Vasishta, that is what he prescribes. Because everything is a reflection from the mind. It is not the physical light directly. What somebody says is not what we have to capture. How we perceive it is what we have to discuss. Therefore, probably importance is given by rishis for the whole knowledge and that system which helps others directly with all actions. That is represented by sun. That is why Surya is important for all of us. Suryaya Swaha, Suryaya Idam Namama, Prajapataye Swaha, Prajapataye Idam Namama. Everything is yours, O sun. It is not mine. Even when I am doing a yaga or yajna, whatever articles which I am putting into fire, because fire represents the Surya himself. I cannot throw my havis. Havis is the material which I use for my yaga to sun to give it to him. So I keep a representative of sun and then put it inside thinking that this fire is Surya. That is why Suryaya Swaha is always replaced by Agnaya Swaha. Agnaye Idam Namama. Prajapataye Swaha. It is by all the people but not by me. With that concept is what I am doing puja. But same when it reflects in the from the physical world to the manas level. In astrology we call the manas is the reflection. Shankara also said manam darpana samanam. That darpanam is the moon. So today is the full reflection. So for a knowledge seeking person, today is very important because he can reflect on everything 100%. That is why probably the Guru importance is given today and we call full reflection. Whatever is there in my mind, whatever I am telling, if the person who is listening is able to reflect upon that, comprehension is possible, that means he is a good student. Therefore, this is a day for knowledge transfer. Actually, no guru can exist without somebody who can learn from him. When I learned whatever from my guru, Brahmasri KPC Anujan Bhattadripad, who taught me little bit here and there on Veda, where I am able to reflect today, or maybe my Samadhi master, Mahamandaleshwar Swami Veda Bharati, who is from the Himalayan tradition. That reflection, if I am able to do it, I am like a full moon. So full moon represents whatever is given by the earlier guru, we are reflecting upon. That is why we call the Guru Parampara is important. Sadashiva Samarambha, Shankaracharya Madhyama, Asmat Acharya Paryandam. The last guru who taught me from the parampara. I salute all of them. So this is the day to recollect whatever knowledge is only reflection of what is being taught by them. What did they teach? The whole wisdom with a lot of Ichha Shakti, Jnana Shakti and Kriya Shakti. 3 Shaktis. That is important for everyone to become prosperous, become good in this world. So that require a buddhi to become the best. My dhimahi, the spiritual heart, the metha, my prajna, my dhruti, my smriti, awareness, will, memory, brightness, all the 5 phases of Gayatri, higher intellect, has to get opened up with all that practices which I have. Gayandam trayate idi Gayatri. Mananat trayate idi mantram. Keep on reflecting upon that, so that my buddhi, my wisdom will get opened up. We all adore Buddha during Buddha Purnima, probably with the name Buddha, or Buddha got the name because he is one whose wisdom is higher, mind is greater. So whoever wants to have a design thinking, intelligence, the meditative mind, imagination, all of them should have a brain which is innovative, creative, not a reproductive. Every teacher should be a productive teacher. What is being captured, understood, is not what probably somebody else tells. Only 1/4 of the knowledge is acquired by the students. Acharyat padamadatte. When Acharya speaks, who is an Acharya? Me as a mathematician, if I am practicing my mathematics, I am an Acharya. Whoever practices his knowledge is an Acharya. If you are not practicing, you are only theoretical, you can be a Guru. Therefore, Acharya is much higher than a Guru. Guru can teach, he need not practice. When he practices, he jumps into a higher level called Acharya. Acharyat padamadatte. When Acharya teaches, the students, they don't teach. From the action, the student will learn looking at them, going behind them, following them, keenly observing at them. That learning is what is given by an Acharya. Not as a verbal, but a skillful action. Maybe that can be a jugad. Here and there he may do something. So who is an Acharya? He can learn many things instantaneously and reflect on anything, and then he can act upon that very fast. Such people who are skillful in variety of things is called an Acharya. And such people, when they are deep rooted into the basic system wherein they have learned everything, and then blossoms up, that fragrance is given to the people who are around them. Such Acharya can spread the knowledge 100%. Reflections are possible, but the students may not be able to capture 100%. They will get 25%. But then what the student is supposed to do? They are supposed to do themselves a reflection, refer here and there, go back to the Guru, sit beside, do clarifications, ask lot of questions. Then the student will get 25%. Acharyat padamadatte padam shishya swamedhaya. Then have discussion with the people who are studying along with them. So you need a peer group learning. Lot of students around you where you can learn and then discuss. So those, your classmates, your colleagues, your satsang people, where we discuss and debate and learn through group discussions, group activity, that will become 1/4. That's why we say Acharyat padamadatte padam shishya swamedhaya Padamsa Brahmacharibhya. So Brahmachari is not married and unmarried as misinterpreted many times. Brahmam Hridaya Guhara Madhye Kevalam Brahma Matram. Inside your Hridaya there is a creativity part. That creativity moves in, that is actually Brahma, moves in whatever subjects of interest. So if my interest is matching with some XYZ interest, then we are brahmacharis together. Therefore what will happen? Our discussions will become only that subject. Therefore we are able to learn something very keen, sitting and discussing together externally other than my preparation what Acharya has given. That will give me 1/4 knowledge. So Acharyat Padamadate Padam Shishyaswamedaya Padam sa Brahmacharibhya, peer group learning, and then 1/4 will come to you after some time with experience later part in your life. So the learning itself is in different level. Similarly, the teaching itself is in different level. That is how our Guru Parampara taught us. So what is the ultimate aim? It is not to get a job. Today when lot of people will ask me this question, because I come on radio, TV, sometimes some discussion, some seminar, workshop, immediately parents or students, they keep asking, what should I study to get a job? Today learning is for a job. I keep saying you don't have to study anything. You can start working now. Because job is what probably can be done without much of knowledge. Skill is good enough. A roadside repairing person will repair a scooter without even knowing how a combustion engine works. But if you want to design a combustion engine, probably you need to know more theory. But knowledge traditionally in Bharat, India was not for giving job. Though there was a skill associated with that which is called Upaveda. That could have been for different activity based programs. But general Veda, which is knowledge, was only to get enlightened. Asatoma Sadgamaya, Mrityorma Amardam Gamaya, with that Jyotis. And ultimately you get Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. But we are not into that sort of a state today, because every one of us soon after Brahmacharyam gets into Garhastyam. Garhastyam need money. Therefore you need to get a job. Without that you cannot get into the rest of your activities in the Purusharthas. This is what makes us contextually different. But it matters in your 24 hours of life. Maybe 8 hours you are into living with the materialistic requirement or equipping yourself into materialistic requirement. Can we have some time where our concept is large and great and big, other than the local minimum requirement? That Guru also have a meaning which means great. Laghu is small, minimum, and Guru is large and great. So Guru Purnima is making people to think great and big, not small and less, so that you have a great ambition in your life. So in today's concept, a Guru is one who has to make people to think great and big and higher, making them to reach up to the highest level. That is what is to be done. So when you can do that, the shaping can be done perfectly to achieve the best out of every individual. I think that is where the world can change by one individual's capacity. That is what is essential, and that guidance is what is supposed to be done. So that is what a Guru is. Probably one of the greatest Gurus in our recent past who were around us in flesh and blood could be Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, who created a great leader for the whole world, Vivekananda. So I keep asking myself a question whether Vivekananda is great or Ramakrishna is great. Ramakrishna is great because he created Vivekananda. Vivekananda is great because of Vivekananda, Ramakrishna become great. We know Ramakrishna because Vivekananda lived. So sometimes it is all the requirement of a good teacher, a guru or an acharya to get a bright, good, marvelous student, so that whatever he has, probably what I have got from my guru, if I don't give it to the next generation, it is a great papa which I am doing to my gurus. So whatever I have learned from my tradition, my knowledge, what is obtained from the gurus, have to be handed over to the next generation. For looking at life in a different style, probably facing the life with all the reality around us, but ultimately you can rest yourself with the total anandam, the bliss, the happiness, and that is what the ultimate aim of all this ritualistic concept. It is not for a day, but it is essential for us to remind ourselves sometime, to say that this is what is to be done. Unlike all other festivals, Guru Purnima has got a spiritual, astronomical, materialistic, the Shraddha, Bhakti, Jnanam, everything mixed together to understand carefully. This is what I wanted to share with you. Good enough. Probably we will hear from different perspective from different people, and then we will have interaction and question and answer session. Jayanti has taken a great initiative. When the conference happened on yoga, before that a global initiative after the pandemic, we had a discussion. It was a short period, less than a month. I know Dr. Jayanti, and the interest in learning and discussing was seen. Then I thought we should create a group so that different directions we can look at it, about different concepts which may make all of us to learn and share and care. This is why I thought we should have such a discussion. So namaskar, back to Jayanti, please.
Thank you, sir, for leading presentation. So I'm requesting any one of you would like to ask something to the speaker. We have with us Chinmay Satpathy. We have with us Pradeep Yogi. Sir, would you like to have some remarks? Or any one of you, maybe Saurav or any student, Nitesh?
Yes, ma'am, I want to ask something.
Yes, you can.
So, sir, very beautifully you described the Guru Shishya tradition and the relevance, because it is, although, just treated as mere words, but the whole tradition, how it works, you have beautifully, described it. I wanted to ask, because you have a guru who belongs to who has a knowledge of the rituals and everything. So, is there any particular ritual that we need to follow on Guru Purnima specifically?
Saurabh, no? Saurabh Rawat, who asked the question? Saurabh
Yes,
Rawat, yeah.
Yes, sir. Saurabh.
My Guru Brahmashri KPC Anujan Bhattadevipada happened to be a Tandri. Tandri in Kerala is the person who knows about the temple rituals, establishment of a temple, and he was core into looking after temples. And he has got a book called Tantra Samuchaya, which describes temple rituals. Actually, all our temples are probably less than 2000 years old. We don't have temples which are prehistoric. Before temples, there were only Yagashala. The Yaga, Yatna, which are temporary shed where you conduct the Yaga and Yatna. Soon after the job is over, fire the whole Yatnashala. I witnessed many such Yagas which happened even a few years back. I was present there measure the energy, understand the rituals and all that. Much before that, probably nothing would have been there. But if you look at the concept of Yagashala, look at the concept of temple, and whatever puja which every one of us are doing at different parts of the world or even at home, they are all called anushtanas. Basically, anushtana remains same. But achara is what people follow based on region, based on the time. Anushtana has got a basic science. Acharas have no science. So probably these ritualistic celebrations like Guru Purnima and all would have come very recently. I am sure it would not have been there in the Vedic tradition, because you don't see any reference on Guru Purnima. So if anybody is doing some puja, it only means that I am showing my respect to somebody. If I show respect to Shankaracharya, keeping Shankaracharya's picture and doing puja, nobody can blame me. Last year, same day, I was in Columbus, America, and we had a lot of satsang. I remember somebody invited me to her house, the whole family. They are in TCS, working for TCS in Columbus, Indiana. Then they invited me saying that it is Guru Purnima day and they were in my satsang group learning Bhagavad Gita from me. I thought they are going to respect me because that is the day when gurus have to be respected. But immediately when I went there, I was given a seat and I was decorated, and then I was put a costume like Sridi Sai Baba. Because as far as they are concerned, their God is Sridi Sai Baba. And they dressed me up like Sridi Sai Baba. We cannot deny, because that is the requirement of somebody who feels happy about it. It was not my taste at all. Actually, I am against such things. But then I cannot run away from the place because there were few people around. I don't know what was briefed to them. There was no briefing to me what is going to happen. I thought it's like a dinner. But this is what happens sometimes. So, is there a ritual like that? There is no ritual in the world. You cannot call Guru and then you assume that somebody believes that his Guru is Shiva, and Saurabh Rawat calls me at your house and start painting me black and putting me a lot of jada. What is that ritual can be called? So I am sure that person, that family who did that, their children would have seen that. If that child is remembering this as an instance because it's a great instance in the life, probably tomorrow the children also will do the same thing. So most of our rituals are sometimes with no much logic. Anushtana has got a science. What is Anushtana? When I do a puja, I can call the goddess, give them a bath, give them food, make them happy with all the slokas, all the chantings to praise them, and then send them away. That is what is called Avahana, doing the puja, and Udvahana. So this can be done as per your requirement, as per your wish. You call a guest, but what is to be given to him is actually what he likes, not what you like. Most of our rituals, we make a jaggery sweet or maybe a milk sweet based on what you like, but not based on what the guest likes. Correct? So since we don't know what Guru likes, we don't know what God likes, we create rituals. Actually, the rituals have very less significance. It's all sankalpa. Rupam rupa vivarjidasya bhavado dhyayena yat kalpidam. All my dhyanam is only my kalpidam, my imagination. All the temples are my imagination. All the preachings are my imagination. Actually, there is no specific place for God. There is no specific way I can describe a God, because God himself or herself is indescribable. I cannot give a shape to God because God doesn't have shape. But we need to create shape, we need to create these symbols so that it can go from generations to generation. So when you look at intellectually at a higher level than ritualistic, we must go to Sankalpas. So today, who is to be performed puja? Assume Sridi Sai Baba would have written a book, but you have not learned it by yourself. Or he must have preached something somebody would have written and then got printed later. But you must respect those person who taught you really in front of you. Sakshat Pratyaksham Bhagavan. That is what is essential. Who is in front of you, who teaches you, and who you consider as your guru. That is why we have got the parampara, but my respect is only to KPC Anujan Bhattacharya, who taught me that little bit in Veda, and my meditation master, Himalayan tradition, Swami Veda Bharati. So how to pay respect to them? How to pay respect to them? Whatever they taught, I must keep spreading. First. Second one, don't claim it is mine. I keep saying, I learned from this person, this person. If somebody is hiding your guru and then coming to you saying that I know everything, but ask him from whom you learned, he will not tell you that. I know such people who are famous in India who don't declare their gurus, but we know indirectly how they become guru and who taught to them, whom they have cheated to become gurus. Yeah.
Sir,
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
We have Dr. Chinmay Satpathy.
Yeah.
Chinmay ma'am, would you like to have some reflection on this? Chinmay ma'am, can you hear me? Can you unmute yourself?
Bhuvaneshwara.
Hello. Yes, she's a research scholar, devotee, great devotee of Jagannath. So she is working on Jagannath. She has dedicated her life for Jagannath only, and I don't know whether we can get her. Chinmay ma'am, can you hear me? Hello. 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 Sir, I have a question to you. Hello.
Yeah, I'm here. You can ask.
Sir, the topic is Guru, Acharya and Master.
Yeah.
So I have little confusion. Where is there any difference when we start with Upanishad, the word Guru is reflected, and they have used the word Guru instead of Acharya.
Yeah.
So is there any difference hierarchy to give that when it comes to contemporary world, the word Master suits more than the Guru? Is it like that? What is basically, is there any difference?
Yeah, there is much higher than Acharya and Guru. They are Bhagavan.
Okay.
Ramana Maharshi was a Bhagavan by himself. That's why we call him Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi. Shankara himself was a Bhagavan. But Shankara is more called as an interpreter. Bhashyakara. That is another terminology. A reflector.
Yes, Bhashyakara.
Bhashyakara. Shankara is a Bhashyakara. Because he is almost equal to Bhagavan, but he also became a Guru. Ramana never became a Guru. Ramana was a Bhagavan himself. People should ask him question, then only he will give. You can only see question answer from Ramana. You cannot see him interpretations on this Upanishad, that Upanishads from Ramana Maharshi, because he did not put into different compartments. Ramana himself do not know how much and what he knows. It is because he has not put into different classes. He was an ocean. Ramana Maharshi was like an ocean. Ocean doesn't have boundary. It is only we put a different boundary saying this is Pacific Ocean, this is Arabian Sea. We are not going to measure the depth to find out geographical location to locate it. Ramana Maharshi was such like an ocean and he was a Bhagavan. Shankara was also like that. But what Shankara did, he categorized different knowledge. He started writing different things and he started interpreting different things. Therefore, he is called an interpreter. He is called a Bhashyakara. So he knows how to write commentary on different things. And Acharya is, he will never stay somewhere, he will not have his own disciples, he will not have classrooms, he will not have one Veda taken and then finish one class session. He keep moving from one place to another place. If you want him, go behind him. You have to follow him. He will not catch people and then make a classroom. He is like a walking encyclopedia. But Guru is one who will establish a school and then have people around him. So today's gurus don't consider the so-called people, they added Sa, Sri, etc. behind and call themselves and market themselves with publicity and coming onto TV with nice blah blah English and a lot of people around with a chain marketing business of teaching how to breathe and how to sleep and how to take bath and all that. They are all stupid marketing people. Those who have realized God, who understand who is a God, there may be thousands and thousands of such people around us where we don't know. They are the people who really, you go and then disturb them, then they will give you knowledge. That's it. Probably such people may not have too many number of people around them. But those who learned will really feel, yeah, I understood. I know the basic. I am deep rooted. And such people are gurus. Other people may be called as gurus by themselves. And in today's dictionary word, you may call them as masters. So the real master is one. See, for example, my guru, Swami Rama. If you have not read the book, you must read that book, Living with the Himalayan Masters. He was a Himalayan master. He became Shankaracharya in around the 50s, 49 to 52, 2 years. Shankaracharya is the highest position any Swamiji can get in this world. But after 2 years, he said, my job is not administrating a office, taking care of people and looking at file and describing things. I am a meditation master. I want to become silent. And I am not an administrator. He left that place. Only one Shankaracharya in the whole system who left the job. Because Shankaracharya's job is a job. He has to maintain a mutt. He has to find out the accounts. He has to look at the office management. So he said, this is not my job. He left that job. Imagine somebody who becomes the highest, topmost position in the Hindu mutt leaves his job. He is actually guru. They are not into day-to-day activity. I know people who come on TV, day-to-day activity, they wanted to establish an ashram for which they wanted to look at how much is the cement cost. And sometimes they call me because most of the people who are very famous, I have sat across the table and discussed. We know them. I know them personally. So they will tell, no, this is the price of cement. I don't know what is to be done. I said, what are you doing? Whenever they talk about God also, the God is not in mind. Who will sponsor my talk tomorrow on TV? Because they come on TV every day, half an hour, they have to pay 25,000 rupees, the half an hour prime time for most of the local regional channels. National channels, it is much higher. They are all so-called masters, but no mastery on any. I am not saying they don't know, they may know many things because they keep reading. That much knowledge, probably a philosophy professor will have much more knowledge than that. But they are not putting that dress, they are not having a different style. That's it. We had great gurus. One of my, another guru is Yati. They don't call that name guru, Nitya Chaitanya Yati, Puri. You look at the names at the end, that will tell you which tradition they belong to. So sometimes the name Yati is very rarely taken, Nitya Chaitanya Yati. He was a real guru. His basic knowledge Academic knowledge is very less. But he knows how to interpret Bhagavad Gita totally psychologically. There is a Swadhyayam textbook by Yeti. If somebody has got psychology interest and Gita interest, that is the book to be read. Probably he must have been a professor more than 26 universities all across the globe in the 90s, 80s and 90s. So your knowledge is what is to be recognized, to be called not by you, not by your own ashram, as masters. So they were all masters. So master is almost equal to guru, traditional name. Acharya is who practices, who doesn't care about all this paraphernalia, institutionalism, they don't care. Much higher is Bhagavan. In between, if you classify and put them, they become Bhashyakara, they become Acharyas, and that is how it is. So first process is that you have to become a Brahmachari. Brahmachari is not married or unmarried. Your interest is, if my thinking is always on cinema, then I am a Brahmachari in cinema. If my interest is only on ornaments and dress, then I am a Brahmachari in dress. I am a Brahmachari in dress. All my videos you will see keep on changing my dress. So it needs probably an interest in that. So you can be a Brahmachari in multiple discipline. That doesn't stop you. People have misinterpreted. That's why most of us, I have got a BA, BSc, BCom. All that prefix is B. B is bachelor. Bachelor means Brahmachari. If you are a bachelor of psychology, that means you are a interest in psychology was there for 3 years. I am a Brahmachari in law because 3 years my interest was in law, so I became a LLB. I am a BSc in mathematics because I have got 3 years interest in mathematics. That's it. So Brahmachari means my interest is there. That can keep changing. So Brahmachari is what is essentially to start with, and then you become an expert in that. Expert. During Brahmacharyam you should be pert. Your interest keeps on pumping inside, asking a lot of questions. That quest should come. That quest is what makes you to hunt for somebody who can answer that. But Shankaracharya or probably Ramana Maharshi don't have to get answer from somebody else. They know the answer already within them. Because their Acharya, their Guru, their master is inside themselves. That's it. We can extend this discussion for hours together, days together. Because it's a huge topic.
Yes, yes, sir. Thank you, sir. So anyone, I can see many students are there. So if you like to ask something to sir, then you can raise the questions. Yamini, do you have any question? Yamini, can you hear me? Hello? Yes. Would you like to ask something? Yes.
Okay. Sir, I have a question for you. I have a question about initiations. Like there are some knowledge or some kind of practices which need initiations. So how to find first, how to identify a guru who can initiate you, like Kundalini Yoga or some knowledge like that. So yes, I would like to know about that.
It's a beautiful concept, and it is being sold by many people on the road. You come and attend a workshop, I will initiate you on this, that and all that. But it is not that simple. It is actually a Diksha which is called as initiating somebody. What is Diksha? Da means giving. Cha means sight. So what is Diksha? Initiating means I am giving sight to somebody. Is that sight can be given by me or you should gain it? There is only one person again who must have got initiated textually. If we wanted to look at, it is only one person. Do you know who is that person, Yamini? I am not talking about the so-called masters initiating thousands of them by paying 1,000 rupees, taking a token and going in the queue and then getting mantra diksha. No, I am not talking about it.
Yes.
There is only one person, that is Totapuri. Have you heard about Totapuri?
No, sir.
Totapuri is the master of Ramakrishna.
Okay.
Ramakrishna was sitting beside the Devi and started praying, and he will make nice mala, garland for putting onto Devi. But instead of putting onto Devi, he will put himself and start dancing. Because he will identify he is equal to goddess. He is not able to distinguish God and he. Until he reaches there, he has got a sense. But once he reach and the bhakti becomes maximum, then he don't understand. Therefore, the Totapuri, who was a guru for Ramakrishna, actually took a big hammer and then hit on his head. And the head started oozing out with the blood. That is because his Kundalini, which is supposed to be the most powerful energy of any person who has got a reproductive system, the maximum energy is to produce a person like you is your maximum energy in the world. Because you become a Brahma, you are able to create somebody. I am able to create two sons equivalent to me or more powerful than me. That is my power. If that power can be brought to a different level, which can get into spiritual level, then I am the most powerful person. So that is what is Kundalini. I don't know how many people who explains Kundalini explains like this. Actually, that is the concept. So there is a snake sort of a thing under exactly below you, and then that jumps inside your kasheru and then get into that. That happened to him, only one person. And that, to get into that diksha, there are different ways. One is mantra diksha, one can be through to japa, or it can be through chanting, it can be through oral, it can be through sparsha diksha. Assume that somebody is able to touch you and then immediately get you that. Probably the time I met my guru, in fact I should have gone to my guru to meet, but instead of that my guru came to my house to meet me. So that became a big mistake from my side. So what I did was I just flattened on his leg and then caught him saying that, sorry, I should have come to you, but instead of that you came to me. He just touched my head. That is Sparsha Diksha. That you need not know, I need not know. But whatever he knows will automatically flow in us. And then he started asking me questions. Did you finish your 13th chapter writing the book? I asked, how do you know that I am writing my book and it is the 13th chapter and it is on Paragaya Pravesham? You understood what I am saying? So that's like an experiential feel what you should have. That is not what is to be purchased. That is not what is to be got. It is to be gained. So it could be by walking together. It could be at one site. It could be in the first meeting. It could be based on whatever style in which he wanted to give it to you. It could be on Padasparsham. It could be on touching on somebody's hand. So it could be on Dhyanam. It could be on Acharya or Achamanam or Stuti or whatever style you want. So there are many ways, 100 ways. Got it? So Diksha is what you are supposed to get. What do you get because of that? You get a Purnatva. Purnatva means that today is Purna. The Purnima is that only. The maximum benefit from whom that guru gives you maximum benefit. That is what it means. But it cannot be done to somebody who I have not seen, somebody who has not reached closer to me. You imagine Bhagavad Gita, Krishna and Arjuna knows each other for long time. He was not given Diksha by Krishna. Though in the second chapter itself, Arjuna has fallen on his feet saying that I will obey you, you are my guru. Krishna did not accept him as total guru. He started giving total second chapter so much of Sankhya Yogam, where knowledge is given Then he started asking questions. That's why third chapter starts with the question. Then he has given knowledge, then gave bhakti. Then also he was not convinced. Then he wanted to see Guru. Then earlier it was a blind belief. That's why he has fallen and said, you are my Guru. Later, 13th chapter, he said, I want to see you really. Then only I will recognize you. Did he not ask? Showing your style, showing your fashion. So therefore, you get more doubt. So it's like a good interaction between the disciple, and the best example of a good student and a good Guru is Arjuna and Krishna. Not totally get convinced. You keep on asking questions, lot of discussions, debates, getting scolding, all that is essential. Then after 18th chapter, probably he will give you Diksha and then tell you, yes, you do what you want, I will take care of you. But actually, through Arjuna, Krishna is doing the whole thing.
Okay,
So,
sir.
yeah.
I understand. But how will we recognize that we have found a Guru? Authentic Guru.
You may not find at all in some life. Everybody in the life, they need not to find a Guru. Sometime you will cross them, but you are not following him. You are not able to understand this is my Guru. Actually, there are a lot of people crossing each one of us, but we don't know this person is. It's like you are passing in a bus, you are seeing a lot of hotel, but you may not even know that there is a restaurant. But when you really feel hungry, you start hunting. But then you may not get also. Therefore, what is to be done? You must keep on keeping your eyes open, have interest in understanding, and find out who knows my frequency well. It's a frequency match. You must learn what is biorhythm. Biorhythm is, I have got a physical, emotional, intellectual, social, spiritual rhythm. Somebody else also have. That need to match. Today I got maybe 3-4 people. Every day I get hundreds of WhatsApp. Sahu must be wondering how I am answering in instantaneous, right? I keep my WhatsApp in 3 different units, and when I get today, I found somebody who was 5 years back my student who came back to me now. There was somebody whose daughter contacted me. I know only the parents who knows me 15 years back. After that, no contact. So sometimes it comes back. It takes long time. You really know when you require. You don't require food, you don't have to go for that, no? So you don't require sometime a real spiritual master in your world. But there may be a time when you really require. But therefore test them thoroughly. Understand whether this person is genuine, whether he has got knowledge, whether he has got sufficient material to answer my questions. So what is to be done? Ask a lot of questions. And that questions, if they can answer and that matches with your earlier knowledge, understanding and your frequency, probably you understand, oh, this is the man who I was looking for.
Okay.
Yeah, that is what is to be.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sir, I have one thing that is always my opinion regarding a guru. That guru must be you should teach right things to your students, like positive things, right thinking. So no negativism. I just hate the way people are like ideology. When it comes to ideology, and the teacher also, they started teaching spoiling the young mindset, teaching them so many. I can't say it is a wrong thing, but the way the teaching has been going to one mind setup to other mind setup and having different kinds of ideology and spoiling and teaching the young mind all sort of negative things about their own culture when it comes to own culture, own philosophy, own religion. So that is something which is not acceptable to me. Like I always believe that whatever things may have happened, but you must teach the positive things and right things to your students. Because after all, they have a long life to go and they are the future generation. And if you start spoiling their thinking process, so they can't grow. So that is how I find today's academia, most of the, I can't say they are wrong or right, but I feel sometimes helpless that many of our teachings only encourage aggressiveness or something called violence in the society, some kind of nepotism, some kind of creating some kind of differences, either caste difference or religious difference or kind of so something that I feel sorry about that. So I need your comments on that.
See, there are 3 or 4 different categories of people who influence everyone. One is their parents, to start with, and then probably more influence is by the peer groups. The peer groups also will guide you in different aspects, but peer groups cannot be your throughout life partner who understands your problems at the right time, at the right style, because we accept great friends who always agree with us. If my friend disagree, I will tell they are not my friend, so you discard them. And parents are such people, they always have got an emotional attachment to you, and therefore they will not allow your independent thinking, because they are so protective. They will tell you, you are wrong, I have got more experience, you have less experience, and you must listen to me, because you have no option. It is not chosen by you, it is by accident somebody became your parent. So you cannot believe that they are the ultimate knowledgeable person around you, and most of their experience would maybe discourage you from taking challenges. That could happen. I have a lot of experience, because 2013 to 16 I must have conducted hundreds of camps with a lot of youth from different parts of the world used to come to me. So when they drop their children, they will tell, my child is having this problem, that problem, don't allow them to do this, they have a lot of restrictions. I only keep asking one question, you have never told me for last 10-15 minutes what is, you are only selling what should not be done, because most of the parents only know. I remember, I keep saying, I asked somebody's name, what is your name? They said, no Pradeep. I said, why no Pradeep? Because my father keep on asking me, no Pradeep, no Pradeep, no Pradeep, no Pradeep. That's it. There is no yes in the world. Therefore, some people have this negativism in them, and you have to escape from this negativism. How do you escape from this negativism? That is why you need somebody who balances between friends, balances between parents, who understand the society, who also understand everything around the world. They cannot be somebody who knows only one part of the world. It is not spiritual. Earlier, gurus were not just spiritual. If you look at great gurus, they were advisors to king. They know Arthashastram, they also know Dhanurshastram, they also know Ayurvedam. So you must select somebody who has got a background of multiple things. And today's gurus, probably they will teach you yoga, and parallelly they will have an Ayurveda shop, because if something goes wrong, you have to get admitted to there. And those people, when they become sick, they go to medical college nearby. They don't go to their own hospitals. I know such people. That's why when I am saying, I know the person in front of me. That's why I am saying like that. So that is why this mistake, because for them everything is business. Everything is business. A guru is one who is like a sannyasi. They don't require anything. They must get into that level. But you cannot start motivating somebody when you are a failure in your life. You cannot start learning psychology when you become depressed. You should not start guiding people just because you know few asanas. Right? So, everything has to be understood together. Because life is not just physical, it is not just spiritual also. It is physical, emotional, intellectual, social and spiritual. So who can teach you all the fivefold development? understanding your age, understanding your character, your family, everything has to be understood together. Otherwise, my granddaughter will not sit in this class. Harini is my granddaughter, who is from Dubai, who came to my camp exactly 5 years back. She flew from Dubai, traveled from Bangalore, traveled 8 hours and reached my house. Immediately I said, sit there and you tell me what did you learn in my class last attended. Tell me 10 points, then you can go and eat something. I am sure as a grandfather I cannot tell that. Probably it must be a torturing. But as a guru, what I taught has to be capsulated. Otherwise that camp itself is useless for such people. They must always keep learning in mind. If that learning capacity is not actually triggered, actually not identified, then you are giving solutions is not the right path. Most of the gurus will give solution and everybody wants the capsule solutions. Don't go to anybody who gives you capsule solutions. It has to equip you. A good teacher is not one who teaches maths, physics, chemistry, biology. A good teacher is one who teaches you how to learn, to make you independent. I don't want you to come to me at all. That has to be the master's job. Not you come to me all the time. So they want a lot of people around. I remember when I met my Himalayan master, Mahamandaleshwar Swami Vedabharati. You know the title Mahamandaleshwar? During Kumbh Mela, they select the best Swamiji, not by voting. Spiritually, they identified who is the most spiritual man. And that person gets a title. Everybody calls that in this Kumbh Mela, this is Mahamandaleshwar. I was a commentator for Kumbh Mela once. So I remember Mahamandaleshwar Swami Vedabharati, when he met me, he was telling, we sannyasis also have a lot of pride, ahangaram. We keep counting how many people are there as disciples to somebody else. And if he has more, then I will have a competition with him. We have such sannyasis only today. We know people who gather from different villages by paying money, giving liquor, giving sari, giving biryani, and they sit in the session and then we ask them who is that person who is giving talk. They will know, we don't know. Why did you come? Because we got all these items. Recorded message. I keep recording everything. Recorded message I have. That is how masters are today. So don't go to famous people. You must only identify with whom you can have dialogue, whom you can ask question, who is ready with you. It is not a number of people. It is one. My guru, Brahmasri KPC Anijan Bhattacharya, had only one student and that's me. You don't require plenty of people. You want only one or two. That's good enough. Your life is good enough because you have given whatever you can to somebody else in your life.
Thank you, sir. Yeah. Anyone else would like to ask something? Aditya, can you hear me? Prerna ji, Dr. Prerna Arora, she is from music department and she is really a spiritual person. So, Prerna ji, kuch bolna chahenge? Aditya, would you like to say something?
Namaste, sir.
Namaste, Aditya. He is from Sharjah.
So you remember me?
How can I forget? I'll tell you the dress which you wore last time also. Aditya has a doubt?
No, so what doubt I have, sir?
Yeah.
So you will tell me, you attended my class and you're asking me doubts, then you will tell that I didn't understand anything properly, sir.
Your brother is also beside.
Yes.
Yeah. Namaste.
Namaste, sir.
They are all my children. Where I had 3 days workshop in Sharjah, 3 days workshop in Dubai. I keep traveling and keeping lot of classes. Last year, this time I had 3 camps in US. You can see all of them in my YouTube. You must see that.
Yes, I have seen that, sir.
It's like a thrilling enjoyment. It's like learning life. It is not learning subject, it's learning life.
Yes. Yeah. Chinmay ma'am, would you like to say something? Prerna ji, आप मेरे को सुन पा रहे हैं? Prerna ji, Can you hear me? Chinmay ma'am?
हाँ हेलो
टेंडर जी, आप
हेलो।
कुछ बोलना
हाँ जी,
चाहेंगे?
हाँ।
हाँ
नहीं,
प्लीज।
मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा सर की बातें सुनकर, और मुझे बहुत कुछ सीखने को मिला, और आगे भी मैं सीखती रहूंगी, ये मैं कहूँगी।
ओके, थैंक यू सो मच। थैंक यू सो मच। चिन्मय मैम कुछ बोलना चाहेंगे? चिन्मय मैम, कैन यू हियर मी? I think she can't. So, any one of you like to ask something, or else we'll stop the meeting? Want to end the
Ma'am,
meeting?
I have a question.
Okay. Yes.
So basically, I have two questions.
Sir, how many questions can you take?
I can take as many as you want.
Yamini, you are fortunate. You can ask. Yes.
So, sir, my question is, actually it has two parts, that regarding Tantra and Shakta knowledge, the tradition, Shakta tradition, that nowadays there is a Western scholarship, and it is quite different from Indian scholarship.
Yeah.
The rise of Western scholarship in Tantra and Shakta tradition.
Yeah.
If you would comment on that. And another thing is that the darker version of Tantra and Shakta tradition.
See, Tantra Shastra is probably the most misunderstood concepts from India.
Yeah.
Atharva Vedam is not considered as Veda by many Rigvedic, Yajurvedic, Samavedic people. They will say only 3 Vedas are there. The Tantra Shastra could be seen very close to Atharva Veda by some people, because there is black magic. What is Atharva Veda? If I am not able to get a promotion, I must see none of my colleagues attend promotion on that interview on that day. I'll give you a practical example. There are 4 people who got into an island because the boat got damaged. Monday morning they have to attend an interview. They are spiritual people. They started praying. The first person, Rigveda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, and the last one, Atharva Veda. The Rigveda person first got the first chance, because that is supposed to be the first and the best. He said, yeah, get me to the office so that I can attend. It's exactly 10 o'clock. Tathastu, if the blessing is given, he will reach office. That is God. So God came. He said, go, attend. But then let me ask other people also what they want. Then you can go. So immediately he wanted to go and attend interview. He said, Tadastu, go 10 o'clock. Immediately next person. He asked, now the first person asked office interview. Now the second person cannot ask that, because there will be a competition. So let me get back home. So get me back home. The third person asked, one, I cannot go to office. Next, same question cannot be asked by everyone. You must ask a different question. That's a condition by God. Because once he says go and attend, he has to get job. So what will happen to the next person? He said, if office is not there, I want to go home. The next person cannot go to office, he cannot go home. Then what he can do? He said, I want to go and enjoy with my friends and relatives. Fine, tathastu. Whichever is your choice. You know, the fourth person asked, he cannot ask any one of them. He said, I am alone here, I have no place to ask, get all of them back here. So that is crookedness. That is what is called, you understood? That's all trick. Is it correct or not is a big question. It is correct as far as that person in that state of mind is concerned. You are not a wise person. If lion can hunt for a deer and eat, if human is a much higher living being, why I cannot hunt what I want and eat is the question. So use your power, use your knowledge. Why only wisdom? I need to satisfy myself is what is given by. Therefore, some people think Atharva Vedam is the first one, and when they became more social, more human, it became Rigveda, Yajurveda, Samaveda. So what is Tantra Shastram is black magic, getting what I want in whatever style which I want. There are some people who are in Karnataka, Kerala, some South Indian. I attended a few such yaga yatnas also. To know, I am an academic person. To know that I used to go to them and understand, stay with them. Hubli is a place where I went and attended in the recent past. So that is one. But in Kerala, Tantra Shastram is puja. Tantri is one who knows the all mantra rituals is called Tantri. Therefore, Tantra Shastram is temple rituals. Fine. If you go to maybe Oman, which was very close to India, geographically there are a lot of matching. There are similar black magic available equivalent to what we can see in South India. They use hen, cock, sheep and everything, and then do bali, yaga and all that to get what they want. This is one. The second question which you had was on the Shakteya. Most of these, traditionally, we had only one god and goddess. There is only one, and that is mother. That is called Adi Parashakti. I have a book, but that's in Malayalam. You won't understand. I have written a book on Adi Parashakti. That Adi Parashakti is the nature goddess who is the most powerful one, who can trammel up all other gods and goddesses under them. In each letter, she has got different versions. One of them is Dasha Mahavidya, 10 goddesses. And that there is one book which you just text me, send me on my WhatsApp or search Dr. TPS Dasha Mahavidya. You will get the Dasha Mahavidya textbook. That is the basics of Shakti. That seeing a mother not as a mother alone, that is actually psychological. Looking at a young girl to an elderly person, 17 to 70. As you grow, most of the boys, gents require support by ladies because they are more matured. A 13-year-old girl is more matured than a 13-year-old boy. So in life also, most of the time the suggestions are given by mother. The mother is the controller. Mother is good, the family is good. That is how it runs. So here also in Bharatiya Shastram, Devi has got a much power in every place. That is why even we call the eldest of the eldest god Shiva. But Shakti is more powerful. That is why Saundarya Lahari. Shiva Shakti Ayukto Yadi Bhavati Shakta Prabhavitum Nache Deva Devo Nakhalu Kushala Spanditumapi. Even Shiva's heartbeat will stop if Devi decides stop it there. So the concept of Devi is very close to Tantra Shastra because it's power, it's energy, it is control. How to control? If you look at Durga Devi, she is not only giving blessing. When she is giving blessing, behind her there is a lion who is ready to eat. So that means she can control a lion just behind. Which god has got that power? So that power is what is shown as Shakti. That power is what is shown as Tantra Shastra. So Tantra Shastram, Dasha Mahavidya, Devi Sankalpa, and then getting diluted to the other Devas. That's how it is. And all Devas are also very powerful. They are all Agradas Chaduro Veda. Give all the Vedas by your words and blessings. Prishtaja Shasharam Dhanur. Behind you always keep a weapon. You tell me which god and goddess concept in Bharatiya Shastram doesn't have a weapon behind? Only Krishna. And Krishna has got philosophy. Philosophy is his weapon. Sudarshanam. Darshana Shastram is philosophy. Sudarshanam is best philosophy. He knows how to lecture people, and actually it is a psychotherapy, talk therapy. I am a psychotherapist. So in Krishna's earlier Janma, it was Vasishtha. The Vasishtha was the teacher and the guru for Rama. So it's like a tradition. If you learn tradition, then you know there is no difference actually. We are only making them into different patterns and different styles. Because everyone wanted to have different taste, that's it. Otherwise, conceptually, Sankalpa wise, everything is same. It's all created by the human psychology. Did you understand, Yamini?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, but that is not that simple as I said. Actually, I am also explaining without even understanding 100%.
Sir, your next lecture will be on Tantra. Sir, I am requesting you to speak on Tantra. In Buddhism also they spoke, later Buddhism also they spoke about Tantricism. So we would like to listen from you, the Tantra philosophy.
I think you should also find out somebody else who will share so that I will also learn little bit.
Yes, sir. We will organize a seminar on Tantra philosophy. There is I think JDU, one of the person in Buddhist Special Center for Sanskrit Studies, he is working on Buddhism in Tantra in Buddhism. So I'll call him. So we'll organize a seminar. So I'm requesting Harini to say something.
Harini.
Harini to say a few words.
Hello. I've been attending my grandfather's seminars for a long time. So this actually seems new because usually it's about how to learn, and this time it's more on education of religion. So it's really interesting. I've taken a lot of notes. So I actually had a doubt. So you spoke on the 3 Shaktis that the teachers used to teach, right?
Yeah.
So could you
Ichha Shakti,
explain
Jnana
that?
Shakti and Karma Shakti. Ichha Shakti is your desire to learn. If you don't have questions, Jnana Shakti will not come. So all of them are related. Actually it is 3, but it is only 1. Ichha Shakti is asking questions. Then Jnana Shakti will come. If Jnana Shakti is there, and if you don't use knowledge, you don't create your own knowledge, it is keeping Saraswati, but not creative. Brahma is not there. Only Saraswati is there. Without Brahma, Saraswati will diverge and go. So whenever you have Saraswati beside, Brahma has to be beside. You have to use knowledge to create new knowledge. Therefore, it is Ichha Shakti, Jnana Shakti and Kriya Shakti. Kriya Shakti can be generating knowledge. The action here now Harini is taking note because I taught her how to take note all the time. Keep on writing. I also will not come in to attend a seminar without a notebook and a pen beside me. If I cannot write notes, it's all useless. And I keep recording. And I also keep recording on the screen. And I also have got a GoPro recording there. So it's parallel, nothing should fail. Parallel mechanism. I have got all gadgets beside me because I keep putting myself into learning process. A good question. So most of the knowledge which I shared, probably I would not have shared in the same style in my whole life. It is not full stop and dot which I by heart and then do that. I create knowledge. If I am not able to become creative, Brahma is not inside me, then my Saraswati will run away from me. I am not learning by hearting to teach. I am learning by heart, by my heart to learn and teach. So that will come only when, and maybe the vocabulary may be new, words may be new. So I remember Harini used to come with my lectures when she was 4th grade, when I used to talk to teachers in Dubai. So she will write down everything and she will not allow me to sleep. Same day, night, 100 questions she will have. She will have to get all answers, then only she will go and sleep. So I am sure that Ichha Shakti has to be there. Then Jnana will come. Then a day will come when you can use it. That is creativity. That is karma. And when you do karma, that is Vishnu's job. Vishnu is the god of action. Definitely Lakshmi will come to you. You don't have to go behind Lakshmi. Lakshmi will come to you. I am rich. I am rich enough because I have got hundreds of children who are rich. My richness is not my money in my pocket. My richness is in the students who are there in the whole world, where I can go and stay anywhere in the world for years together. So that is the richness. So if you have, last year I went to US, I stayed there as many times as only government says 6 months I have to come out, because it was on normal visiting visa. So that 6 months, lavish life. But what did you earn from that? When somebody goes to America to work for 6 months, you earn money. But I come barehanded, nothing. Somebody asked me, what did you earn there? Nothing. But what I earned there is a life there for 6 months. So learn. I am sure when you learn, Brahma will be with you. When you have Brahma with you, then action will come. When action comes, Lakshmi will come. And every day evening, you will become so energetic and you can sleep well. That energy is Parvati, Shakti Devi, and sleeping with Shiva. That is meditation. That is Samadhi. Sleep Samadhi. Every day Samadhi. And tomorrow morning Brahma Muhurtam, Brahma will call you.
Muted.
That is Brahma Muhurtam. Brahma calls you, and that is the time you start learning and teaching. That's what is to be done.
Yamini, she has another question. Anybody, Nitesh, would you like to ask something? Nitesh, Deepak? Yes, Nitesh. Then we will come to Yamini.
Yeah.
Nitesh.
Pranam sir, Pranam ma'am. This is Nitesh Maharaj here from Arunachal Pradesh. I have met sir, it has been 4 years. So he has taught me when I was in class 9. So it has been a great time meeting you sir again. Sir, my question is a very basic question, since my network was not working very properly, so I couldn't ask him the first time. So sir, my question is, sir, how we actually define God, and if God is defined as we defined it as Sarvagya, Sarvagyani and Sarvavyapi, what is the need of the rituals and what is the need of any temple, church or mosque, or what actually God is?
Nitesh, this recording will be available on YouTube mostly by tomorrow or day after tomorrow. After editing I will put it. Already this question was answered earlier.
Sir,
Good enough?
am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes, you are audible. Yes, you are audible. You can.
I am from Assam, Dr. Bhavani Sohoria.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just want to know. First of all, I like to thank sir for your valuable and significant talk. And I just want to know, sir said that God is nowhere. So, sir, in contemporary philosophers, we find that Rabindranath Tagore, that said that God is within us. So, if God is nowhere, then why they call that God is within us? And also, why we are going to worship in temples and mosques? Sir, I just want to know.
If you write God is nowhere, N-O-W,
What is your
N-O-W,
God is nowhere.
you write God nowhere and then cut it, it will become now here.
Yeah.
So it is only cutting after N-O or cutting after N-O-W.
Yeah.
That's only small difference. Actually, when I teach...
I also know that God does not exist.
No, God exists. God is there. I am not against
but
God.
We feel and we believe.
Yeah. See...
We feel and we believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
I lost my father when I was 4 years old. Where is my father? My father is inside my manas. It is there in my heart. And I cannot keep telling my children that God is in my heart, God is in my heart. I will have to put a picture of my father and then tell my kids, this is my father, this is my father. So, when I am teaching my KG student, I will take my book and then tell you, this is an elephant, this is an elephant, this is an elephant. I know while teaching, this is not elephant, this is only picture of an elephant. Elephant is somewhere else. But I have to show this an example so that the symbol, the picture, the knowledge is already imprinted in the mind of the child, so that when they see real God, they know that, oh, this is God. Otherwise, when the God comes also, you will ask, who are you? So we need to create a concept in every one of us so that God realization will be possible tomorrow. We don't know who will be the person who will get the realization. So if you ask me, do I have faith in God? I have no faith in God. Do I believe in God? I have no belief in God. But I know God. I have no faith or belief that this is a pen. I know this is a pen because I tested. So knowledge is much higher. So you must reach into that higher knowledge. But first I must believe that this is a pen. Then only I am going to test on this. It should look like a pen. Therefore I need a knowledge about how a pen looks like. So that is my first faith. First faith, then belief, then get into knowledge. That step we have to go through. Therefore, God concept is essential, temple is essential, symbolism is essential, puja is essential, everything is essential. That is why Agnir Devo Dvijadinam. Fire is the god for a priest who does puja. Vigraham Solpa Buddhinam. For half-minded people, Vigraha. Statue is the god. Muninam Hrudi Devadam. For a Maharshi or a Muni or a saintly person, for a seer, his own Manas is the place where God is established. Nitish Maharaj, you are lucky because you are getting at least this much electricity and connection. I know how Arunachal Pradesh is. When we go there for 10 days, one BSNL wind will take our message. Next BSNL wind only I can send reply. It comes like a wind and goes like a wind. That's a place I used to travel quite a lot. Yeah, tell me.
Yeah, sir, I remember one incident when there was a talking going on the God. So one of my friend has debated with you on the fact that does God exist? I have not seen the God. So how can you see that say that there is God? So you have very sarcastically replied her that, have you seen the person who is your father is your father? I remember that logic.
That was in that last 10th class or 11th and 12th class, I think. Yeah.
It was for 9th class.
Yeah, I remember. Prema Arora is there. Deepak Roy is there. Amrita is there.
Sir.
Yeah.
Is there any Bhagavad Gita commentary available written by you?
Dr. TPS Bhagavad Gita, if you write it, writing, nobody is reading these days. Sloka by sloka, making people to chant beside me, explaining it in English, very short, whole Bhagavad Gita except a few slokas in first chapter, which I will already finished recording. I have to edit them with all the Sanskrit slokas written in Sanskrit and English beside. So you don't have to refer textbook. Reading there, listening to my commentary, the whole Bhagavad Gita is available on YouTube. Dr. TPS Gita. Chapter number 1 to chapter number 18. Chapter number 1 I am doing now because 1 is boring. So I generally start from 2 onwards. 2 times I completed. So all of them are available. And main slokas, Bhagavad Gita tidbits. To create interest, some small slokas are also there. All of you have my telephone number, I think. 944-7437-948. Otherwise, type Dr. TPS. That's my short name. Search Bhagavad Gita Dr. TPS. You will reach my, or type Dr. TPS telephone number. Internet will give you. Then send me a WhatsApp. I will tell you where to look for what. Because it's huge. More than 1500 YouTubes. More than 60-70 blogs. So I will direct you exactly where I am. Not written any commentaries, but main characters and messages. There are at least 100-150 articles written, which all of them together will introduce you to different characters and my interpretations on different characters. and many slokas interpretations. Every sloka what I chant probably will be there in 1 or 2 different places. Philosophical, scientific explanations on slokas, that also can be there. All my books, my poetries also can be downloaded. Everything is free. I am also free.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Jay, I used to go to all those places to teach my children.
Or at that time it was very hard to reach there. There was no vehicle and the mountains were falling anytime. It was very risky to travel there.
I used to drive from Guwahati to Arunachal Pradesh because Jayanti is muted. Yeah.
Brenda ji, I am requesting you to conclude the session. Brenda ji, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Actually, I did not listen to it right from the very beginning. I joined at 5:32 on this, but after that, I listened to it very carefully, and I learned a lot. And that's what I just now said, that I want to keep on learning like this. I'm also a student, and my father used to say that till you are on the deathbed, you will be learning something or the other every second of your life. Even on the deathbed, you will learn how the death comes. So that is the thing I am keeping in my mind, and I want to learn from Dr. T.P. Shashi Kumarji, and everyone must have benefited a lot. And that day I attended the webinar of Janki Devi College, and I was so much impressed and inspired that I WhatsApped her and I joined. I am thankful to you, Jayanti, that you also joined me in this group, and I'll be regular listener to Dr. TPS and will gain a lot from him. I'm so thankful to you. Today is Guru Purnima, and you are also one of my gurus.
Pranams to all of you.
Thank you, sir.
Now somebody else joined, Saharia.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
God bless you.
Next talk.
You can schedule whenever you want. Whenever you want.
Yes, sir.
Let somebody come with some suggestions and then some points.
One secret of this group I would like to share. I was little selfish. This group I have created for myself to learn many things from you. So I thought you may not share with me. So I thought I'll create so that everybody will get benefit out of this. So definitely sir will be in touch with you and learn from you many things. And my respect, my regards, my obeisance to you, and thanks a lot. Thanks to everyone.
God bless you. And today onwards we are starting classes. That is why Harini and all are there. I asked young children to make a small video and send it to me what they wanted to be in their life, what skill they wanted to learn. So because Gulf country it is holidays, July to September. So generally they used to come to me to Kerala to learn. Now they cannot travel because of COVID. So I am having a Moksha program. That program is called the Moksha. I abbreviate very fast. So I did an abbreviation on that. So based on that, what happens in my home is called Nanam camp. What happens in Hyderabad was called the Shiksha holiday program. And now we have got the next program this year called the Moksha program. So that is why these children are there today.
Okay, sir.
Anybody can contact me at any point of time. God bless you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
In mythology.
Okay.
And she has read so many books, religious books, and Mahabharata. I don't know how many times she has seen, and she's
Good.
just going.
What was her question? I just missed it. You told something.
she is in class 5.
No,
and,
she wanted to. She
on-
had some question. You were telling.
Yes, ask. Good evening, sir. Sir, she is asking who is Yoga Maya.
Okay.
Yoga
Okay.
Maya.
Okay.
Okay. So when you are free, sir, you can tell them.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay. Yes. She's very fond of religion, very fond of Hindu religion.
Mm-hmm.
She likes that. So she keeps on reading the gods and goddesses of their life. So remembers also.
Good.
And I think one of my students, Saurabh, I was telling, I think he has arrived. So
Okay.
Saurabh is there. Saurabh, good evening.
Good evening, ma'am. How are you?
Yes, fine. How are you?
I'm doing good, ma'am. Good evening, sir. How are you?
Namaste. All fine. Good.
Namaste. Good to know, sir.
So Saurabh, if you meanwhile you can discuss with sir about your research topic. So,
Okay. So, yeah, sir. Actually, my research topic is focused on Shaivism,
Okay.
the Shaivite philosophy.
Okay. Is it Kashmiri Shaivism basically?
Yes, sir. Exactly. It is towards Shaivism.
Okay.
And so I'm reading multiple texts. उसमें विज्ञान भैरव तंत्र सूत्र बंधकारिका my prime text prime resources.
Okay.
They also talk about this Shav Yoga, which is not very famous or which is not very usual in the society.
Yeah.
As compared to the Patanjali, as compared to the yoga established by Patanjali school. So do you know from where I can get some references, or how can I do a comparative research between these two yoga forms?
Okay. That Kashmiri Shaivism mostly talks about the energy levels and related things, right?
Yes, sir.
Whether you are going deep.
Consciousness,
Yeah, that's true.
As Param Shiv, and they say that energy is the Mahadevi. So that is how they also diverged from the philosophy towards religion as Shivan Shakti.
And how deep you go based on the depth in which you look at it, classifies into Vaikhari, etc.
Yes, sir. Exactly.
Yeah. So do you know Dasha Mahavidya?
Yes, sir. I know, but I'm not gone into readings.
Yeah, there is a book by me on Dasha Mahavidya. We will. You can go through that. That's available. Dr. TPS Dasha Mahavidya. If you type, you can download that, and then there I have related Tantra Shastram plus the mantra which used to be used and the designs which used to be used and talked about all the 10 Devi Sankalpas.
Okay.
So that energy points related to Devi Sankalpa is matched there.
Okay, that's amazing, sir. That would be of great help, I guess.
That is not very deep, but describes a generic view. But that will give you, if not exposed to Dasha Mahavidya, that will be a good starting point.
Exactly, sir.
And maybe Saundarya Lahari.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, interpretations on Saundarya Lahari. Both medical point of view also, there are so many interpretations.
Okay, sir.
We can discuss
Sir,
across
very good.
sometime. Yeah.
Sir, for sure, we'll discuss. Sir, one more question. Not question, just wanted to ask your perspective. Sir, how do you differentiate Tantra from Yoga? As in, there's very, different people say different things, but I'm not clear about how Yoga and Tantra are they similar, or do they diverge from a particular point, or are they intermingled? What is the exact concept, or is there any literature to refer to that?
No, if we want to discuss, I will have to ask you few questions back. Your understanding on Tantra and your understanding on Yoga.
Okay.
Because if nomenclatures matches and then we match in the understanding of the meaning of them, probably that becomes easier for us to. Otherwise, what I speak will not get into you.
I totally understand, sir.
Right. Because the subject is so much. Interpretations are entirely different from people to people.
Exactly.
East, West, even in India, from one state to another state, Tantra Shastram is understood entirely different.
Exactly, sir.
For me, Tantra Shastram, basically from Kerala, Tantra is the temple rituals.
Okay.
The priest is called Tantri.
Okay.
The chief priest who prescribes what is to be done in a temple is called Tantri. So my guru happens to be a Tantri.
Okay.
And he wrote a book on Tantra Samuchayam.
Tantra Samuchayam. Okay, sir.
Tantra Samuchayam is the description of how a temple has to be maintained and established and managed.
Okay.
But I don't think generally people understand that in that style, because for them Tantra is black magic.
Yes, sir.
For some people Tantra is sex. For some people Tantra is maybe the oldest of the oldest before Vedas. So it is a method to acquire what they want. What your feeling of I don't want is what is prescribed by Vedas.
Okay.
I don't want, but let the people have. Because everyone is same. I don't have an intention of myself.
Yes, sir.
Vairagya siddhyartham samarpayami. You are surrendering to God, saying, I don't want anything. God knows what I want.
Talks about surrender, the ultimate.
Yeah, but then Tantra Shastram tells you, you are a powerful human being, why can't you have whatever you want? So it's sometimes conflicting.
Yes.
If you don't understand the inner core sense in detail. Okay, we will discuss.
Yes, sir.
So it's 5:03, Jayanti. Dr. Jayanti is around.
Yes, sir. She must be here.
Sir,
Thank you, sir, for your insight.
Yeah.
Sir, would you like me to start the program?
Yeah, you are the ringmaster today.
Should we wait?
Every time.
Should we wait?
No, we will be punctual. We will be punctual all the time.
Okay, sir. Then we'll start the program. Okay, so